What is going on, everybody? Lukey Boy here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about not liquidity incentives. We're going to be talking about airdrops. So I've posted a couple of things about free airdrops that have happened over the past week, pretty much. There's been many in the past, historically. Yeah, many this year, actually, in 2021. Not all of them I've been actually involved with because I wasn't using. Usually, you've got to use something to get it, so you don't just get it for existing. You have to be doing something. So there was a couple that I missed out on, but that was when I was relatively new and didn't really understand it properly. And now I'm a little bit more into it. I have been looking into airdrops that have been free to claim, and of course you can go ahead and sell them, keep them, do whatever. So I just want to talk about a couple. So the first one was SOS token. You can see here, and all I did was basically connected my wallet. I've already done it. You don't need to worry about it. Hang on a sec. Is it going to work anymore now? Hey, you come into here. I got like no money or anything at the moment, but my rewards was this much. So it basically just calculated my spend on OpenSea. OpenSea is what I use to buy and sell NFTs. You can of course mint on other platforms, but the secondary market like Amazon, for example, we actually do the buying and selling, or the selling is where it kind of calculated, and it basically just worked out how much ETH I spent in total since I started. Of course, that's not like I've not had 31 ETH, but you know, just like Amazon, you buy and sell because your turnover is a lot different, and it just basically calculated the number of transactions as well, and it gave me a total. Then I could go ahead, I've done it already, and initiate my claim that you can't see here. It basically just says like claim airdrop, and with these kind of things you have to pay gas. It's on the Ethereum mainnet, on the blockchain of the Ethereum mainnet. And what that means is that every time you do a transaction, if it's to receive, you know, like claim something or send something, or you're doing some, like basically the reason it has 97 transactions is because every transaction I've been using gas. Gas is basically what Ethereum uses, and it's like a little, you got to pay to send things, just like back in the day, or even businesses still now, you have to pay money just do a BACS or faster payments cost different amounts of money. Very similar to that. Every time you're moving it from one account to another at any point, even if it's like within yourself, if you're sending stuff to yourself like on another account, on maybe you've got two MetaMask accounts, that still counts as a transaction, just like sending one bank account to another bank account. Yeah. And so you have to do a small transaction. Maybe it costs me between $50 and $100. Just depends on the if there's a lot of people using it, it's more expensive. If there's not as many people using it, it's cheaper. Just because you have to get priority somewhere with the transactions. It's not unlimited. Like, it doesn't have capacity to do unlimited transfers instantly, kind of thing, which is something to do with scalability, which they are adopting and implementing with not layer 2 solutions. There is layer 2 solutions, but it's going to be a Ethereum 2.0 which is going to be released, which is going to drop the gas fees and basically free up some of that cost. But not that it matters really. And all I did is went and claimed this, and yeah, so then I went into my MetaMask, and you can go ahead and just find out in here under assets, you could go ahead and add. So there's a way of doing that. If you really want to know how to do adding, you can ask me, and you can go ahead and see it was there. So was that the, yeah, so that's exactly the same amount as this, and it's worth $1,690 as of right now, and it was at one point worth $2,500, and it went down to 1,000. So it's fluctuating. And if you actually just want to have a look at the current price, unfortunately it's SOS versus wrapped ETH, meaning it's against Ethereum. Wrapped ETH is the same as Ethereum, it's just a slightly different version, but it literally plays the same. Unfortunately, you can't look against the US dollar, or I haven't found it. It doesn't mean it won't be, there won't be a version with the US dollar at some point, but at the moment it's against wrapped ETH, which means that, of course, this is against Ethereum. Yeah, so it says 15% up on the day, but obviously that's against Ethereum. Well, what's Ethereum doing against the US dollar or the pound? Yeah, so you've got to, like, realistically, I'm referring back to the balance to check. Obviously, the higher this green number is, the better. But you can see if we went down to like an hourly, you can kind of get a feel for what's been going on, you know, up here, even though it doesn't look like it's huge changes. When you're in the micro numbers here, 0, 0, 0, 0, blah, 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 blah. Of course, it's, you know, that's a 50, like 20, 0, basically 23 to 9. Of course, there's a bit of a change, and then 9 to 20 or 18 as it is now. I'm going to hold this for a while till it's kind of worth something to me. And if, for example, if I sold that 2.5 at 2,500, yeah, I could have bought back in, but I probably wouldn't have. Once I've sold that, I probably wouldn't have ever touched it again, because you never know where that top is as well. You know, it may never go down. So that's why I wouldn't really be playing the sort of buy and sell at different points, because I don't really care about it. But if I hold on to it and it does become something pretty good, then maybe at 10 grand I'd sell, yeah, or 8. where it's actually got a bit more value to it to me, because like I could go and buy some NFTs, like 1 ETH on an NFTs. It's so easy. Now 1 ETH's like $4,000, just under $4,000, and I only got 1,600 of the SOS token, so I can't even really do a lot with it. So for me, I'm like, you know, I'm playing around with enough liquidity, enough cash flow with NFTs as it is. I'm looking to have a couple of options on the side. You know, you want to like I mentioned with the Amazon business, you want to have those different layers. Like I've got affiliate commissions, I've got blah blah blah. You want to have things that if one thing isn't going so well, you have other things that can also take over, and you don't need to rely on one thing. Very simple. And so I'm going to keep this for a while, but ultimately you could get it for free just by doing transactions on OpenSea. Now, of course, the only issue is that if this value is not worth paying the gas, then you have to make an educated decision. Is it worth claiming? Now, what I mean by that is another one that came around was GasDAO. Yeah. Now, if you look, it is up 11% today. I did have it here. I'm going to be eligible to claim this many gas token thing, whatever the hell it is, yeah? Because it's basically, this is just calculating the number of transactions I've done where I paid gas, yeah? So I spent 7,100 and whatever in like 4 months on gas in this many transactions. And so you have to think, yes, you can go ahead and claim, but you've got to go and pay actual gas to do it. So it might be that gas, let's say it's $100. Is this even worth $100? Yes, you might think, I'm going to play speculatively. I'm happy to pay 100 because this could go to X, you know. And if it doesn't, well, I only lost 100. Like I'm willing, you know, if you had 10, 15, 20 airdrops over a couple of years, if you played them all, as in you claimed them all, it's possible that obviously some are going to be worthless, yeah. And then you've paid that gas $100 basically for a maybe, but then some might 100x, and obviously then you've got $5,000, and that will cover all of those transactions, plus you'll have a profit. So you can play it different ways, or you can decide that you just don't want to claim it, or you can wait until, because there's normally a date that the claiming is void, or like it's basically stops. Like I think it's in something like 6 months sometimes. So you could also wait and see if this price goes up, where it's then viable. What I can do is I can go ahead and just copy this, go into the actual GasDAO token, and I can basically go ahead and just see what it would be worth. That is all it's going to be worth, even though it looks like a lot of numbers. $107. Now that could be its break even as of now. And if you look at the 7 days, this is obviously the price it was. This is the price it is. So it's gone pretty much down, because not all airdrops are going to exist. Most airdrops, like there's another one called ENS token. So we can actually just go ahead and have a look. And I know many people that got a lot. Let's just go for 3 months. Here we go. So this is good. So you can see it went all the way up like crazy and then came down. Yeah. Just like what I just showed you on that gas. It went up and it went down. Now actually this did come back up. It didn't really do anything after. And then it's kind of come back down again. So this is over like, you know, is this a month? Yeah, this is over like a 3 month period. So you got to decide, like, are you just going to wait until it's at a decent number and sell and then ignore it and forget it? Or are you going to hold it for like a year? Because this, you know, obviously you have to do your research behind like what it even does. Because if it's just basically a random thing, then you might want to sell it, or you might want to hold all of them, or you might want to sell them all, or you might want to sell half. You know, there's lots of different strategies you can do on that. And so I'm just giving you a slight kind of overview on how I look at them and what I'm going to just do. And it might be that I might go ahead and sell half or some at one point. I got to really just, you know, at the moment I'm happy to just leave it with the SOS, because I've been reading a little bit about them and what they're going to be doing. The gas one, I mean, I'm not really that bothered. If you don't have to claim them all, you know, there's been many, and there's potentially going to be upcoming ones all the time. And the reason that they do it, a lot of them, is that they don't want to go and do a share issue like they would do on the New York Stock Exchange or something. They're actually going to create tokens within their business as almost like as a substitute to shares, and they're going to distribute it to active users. So the users get value. This is where the whole Web3 comes in. People who use things get paid. That is ultimately the underlying benefit of using Web3 layered solutions. Rather than you use Facebook, they take all your money, they sell it on, they do this, they target ads. The amount of money from one person is crazy over the years that people are, you know, the value, but you get nothing. Yeah. And so this is like a layer up where you're getting almost like a commission for the more participation within something, within a project, within an ecosystem, whatever it is. And that's ultimately what these kind of things are. So you have to obviously go into a lot of them and decide, is that either going to be these projects like SOS looks actually quite promising in the future. There's one called MetaMask, which is basically where you do all your transactions, you know, that MetaMask thing. And they're potentially going to do one. So if you use MetaMask and you've like converted and you've done the various different things that the functionality allows, then you could potentially, if they do an airdrop, be eligible for tokens, and that of course will have value. And with those tokens you can do XYZ. You can, have a discount on fees, for example. I just showed you on the gas thing, I spent $7,187 on fees. Well, if I got back if I got those tokens for MetaMask and you can use them against fees, well, if they were free anyway, I can save actual real money. Yes, they're going to have a value as well attributed to it, because it would kind of be, the more people that use it, the more people that want them, and there's obviously not unlimited supply of them. And so that's where that kind of comes from. And you might wonder, where do I find all this information? Where do I see this? Well, most of it is actually on Twitter, okay? I just followed various people over the times, and I actually just see it pop up. I just scroll every so often, and I see chats. And now, actually, something to talk about. There was one that came out today called Year, an airdrop, and everyone was saying, "Oh my God, there's a new one coming out." This is this morning. Now, if you actually read, I'm not going to go into all of it, but this is what you call like a honeypot or rug pull, or honeypot. People verified. Basically, the contract got verified, because basically you don't want to go ahead and just initiate all these claims on random airdrops, because what can happen is once you start interacting with your MetaMask, like I just I had to log in to see this. Yeah, I had to connect with my account. If the contract is unsafe, basically it's a fraud company or frauds, whatever your airdrop, they can actually go ahead and like take all your NFTs and cryptos, because you're basically connecting to them. And it's like, like imagine driving into someone's garage and then leaving your car unlocked. Like they could just go into your car and steal your stuff, and now they've got your car in their garage. But you want to make sure that the contract's actually safe, and that it doesn't allow for those things to happen. So I will look out on Twitter, and I will follow very smart people that I know in the space, and I will basically get them to verify, or many people. I'll basically be looking for check marks. I'll just wait. When I see something, I'll wait. And this basically says that it was blah blah blah. Basically, what happened, there was no red flags at first. Can this contract drain your funds, your NFTs? Can it do things? No. There was actually a weird function called burn mechanisms. The contract's like code. It allows the contract, like what the contract is like when you do a transaction, so obviously you're like interacting with something, and that thing is a contract. That's basically saying what can happen and what can't. And if there's something weird in it, it can ultimately allow it. So here's what went down, if you want to read this. At approximately 10 p.m, the creator of the contract called the revoke ownership function of the contract and set its new owner. Basically, it changed its new owner to Uniswap v2 or version 2 probably. This effectively locked everyone out of being able to sell their token on Uniswap. So what normally happens is everyone gets their tokens from an airdrop and wants to sell, or wants to start buying and selling and doing all that kind of thing. And normally there's always a relative pump at the beginning, because it's a new thing. People are selling, people are buying, people are speculating. And then carrying on with this happening, the contract evolved into a honeypot where people could only make purchases and not any sort of sales. So you can't sell your dead crap, basically, because obviously it's a token. Yeah, it has a value, but if you can't sell it, it's worthless. Yeah. This means that on a DEX chart, on a chart like this, you wouldn't, if it was selling, people were selling, and lots of people were selling, you would obviously see it go down. Because the reason it will go down is because if I want to sell here, it's worth $5,000. But someone else is like, oh crap, I want to sell it, but I don't mind taking 4,900. So they'll sell it cheaper. And then someone below, but I don't mind taking 4,800 and then sell it cheaper. So what happens is the cheapest of the SOS, there's 5,000 tokens going at 4,800. People buy that, obviously it drags the price down. And if more and more people are like, oh, I'll take 3,000, I'll take 2,000, I take to, obviously all the way to break even, I guess. And so if there's more sellers than buyers, that is why the price drags down. And again, the opposite applies if it's going up. Like, there's more buyers wanting, so they're having to buy the cheapest and then move up to the next cheapest and move up to the next cheapest. If you were going on eBay and there was something selling out, the prices keeps going up and up and up and up and up as the sellers drop off, like with Amazon. Yeah, if you're on the buy box, and that's basically what happens. So you would never sell, so you never see on the downside, because you weren't allowed to sell. So then, approximately 30 minutes into this honeypot, the creators went and took out the liquidity of the Uniswap, draining the pool of 30. So they basically wanted to get 30 ETH, which is not actually that much, across several transactions, and basically zeroing out the coin. Meaning, what normally happens is the token's there, but it needs liquidity, because people are usually trading with ETH. So they're buying and selling, and instead of using like pounds to buy that token, you're basically using Ethereum. And so there's some Ethereum in that liquidity pool, because if I'm wanting to sell, I'm selling into Ethereum. So to have that ecosystem working and running, you've got to have money in it to facilitate transactions, just like a bank. If you want to go and withdraw money, they have to have money. But if you want to go and deposit money, that's fine because you've got it. But they have to have money if you want to draw it out. That's why if there's like big old economical problems, like some of the banks don't have the cash. Like if everyone goes and tries to draw out their money, because then you need that liquidity. Because there's no point having one side of it and not having the other. And basically, I'm not going to go into any more detail. It basically become worthless. It became worthless because it's worth zero because there was no one that wants to buy it, and it's just people will have tokens sat there. And there was a thing once about was it like Squid Games? Same thing happened. It pumped. There's loads of Ethereum in that liquidity pool, and the owners just take it all out and they close everything down, shut down the website, delete the website, whatever they're doing, and then those tokens are just sitting there, which are worthless at the beginning because you can just create tokens for free. Yeah. So they're ultimately just trying to swap out and then do a runner, and that's why not all things are good. And again, this was a kind of example of what can happen, and that's why I always read Twitter and just wait for like confirmations. But there is this gas DAO, which is fine, and SOS that's even better, and actually has some substantial value. And yes, it could go to zero, of course it could, just like a lot of other things. But that's why I like to be playing multiple avenues, taking some profits when I feel it's the right time, of various things and that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm going to leave the video there, everyone. Hopefully this helped to avoid some sort of scam, that can occur using or interacting with airdrops. So that's why it's always good not to just go crazy and go, yeah, it's free, because you might have some random tokens in your wallet, but you don't want all your NFTs or your crypto to be drained. Those kind of things. So you want to be very careful, but also be aware that they are there and you can make money. I know people that made 10, 15, 20 grand. People that have done like thousands of ETH, they're getting 20, 40, 100 grand SOS rewards. Like you'll see it in Twitter. That's why I like to follow. A lot of people are getting so much money. Probably can't see a lot of this, but a lot of people are making so much from these airdrops. I can't really see anything here that you can kind of validate that it's real. I mean, this is an airdrop here that I talked about the other day, Cypher. If you hold some NFTs, you will get airdropped, and they're worth about 90 cents per one, so that's probably worth like $2 grand. So they do exist. Some of them you have to, for example, that was holding NFTs and doing various things. Some of them is just like buying and selling on OpenSea. Some of them is using gas to do transactions. But there's always various things you may not know that will lead to an airdrop. But the more that you're involved in the space, the more you're opening yourself up to potential airdrops in the future. So anyway, enough of that. Going to leave it there, everyone. Hopefully you liked it. Any comments, let me know below. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.